Auto.
1961 500.
Yeah, stroke 2. Yeah, the other, there's...
So you got two individual seats?
Yeah, like this, but much slightly different to these. Or they come as a single, and you can get a pad that sits on the back for your pillion. But all of our Earl's Forkers and the Earl's Fork bike is characterised by the Ernie Earl's form of...
That's like a swinging arm, isn't it?
Form of leading link. Form, but not actually, technically. Ernie Earls was an engineer whose design was chosen by BMW for their European machines, not for the American market. The American market of these always had tele. Had tele, went to Earl's Fork in Europe, and then went back to teles, and then Paragon, all the other bits. But this prevents, because of the internal configuration, it prevents fork compression, so they don't. The heads don't nod. Well, it's a series of oil damped parts that actually don't quite spring. There is a spring, but there's also a little piece of
swivels.
Yeah, a piece at the bottom. Yeah, it's brilliantly designed, but really heavy and very expensive. Telefork's a lot cheaper, but it's great. But this is a stroke 2 engine. It has a slightly higher compression than the pre-stroke engine. It's something like 6.1 or 2. The pre-strokes are slightly softer, so they're a little bit under that. This has a BHP of brake horsepower of about 28.
Okay. 600cc?
500cc, R50 stroke 2. So it has a shorter bore and stroke than the 600s. Very, very smooth. Once you get past that, it's fine. Very tractable engine.
Yeah, like one of my friends said,
always started with the classic transverse kickstart here. The kickstart on a BMW, these BMWs comes down.
Yeah.
It doesn't swing out and doesn't go that way, it comes down. But when we got this, bevel was completely missing, airbox was completely missing, the bottom half of the Earl's Fork, believe it or not, was missing, and all of the packing for the steering, for the wheel, all of the shims had gone.
And how difficult are these things to replace?
We had to go to America for them. But we tried, well no, because we tried to do everything we could to resource existing parts, and a lot of the American bikes are very, very low mileage. Because they were very, very expensive when they were imported, and Bevel came off a bike that had done about 20,000 miles. So that was a good thing to recycle. The rims are original. This thing came with 3 different rims, but these are Weimann rims, and they have a very distinctive this is the later lacing pattern. They have an earlier lacing pattern, but these were rebuilt by a brilliant guy in Calthol called Steve at Wheelwise Engineering, who does motorcycle wheels and is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And everything else we've put on that is picked, with the exception of these. Engine bars, period.
Which I have on my old matches.
Rear engine bars, period. And the rest is just as we put it back together. So the only thing that is not standard on this is the steering head on this one, steering head control, the knob, because the inset red dot means that it's an S. Should be on the R69S, but we had 3 of them, so we thought, why buy a new one when we can do that? It doesn't have the step down that you have with the S type, because you can get an extra piece that goes in there, and everybody throws them away because they don't work.
Okay.
But no, lovely thing.
Yeah. Fabulous.
And the exhaust system, you often see BMs. Most people associate BMs, apart from the what is called a boxer engine. Technically, of course, isn't a boxer engine. Horizontally opposed twin, and you can see the offset on the cylinder heads. When you look down over there, you see. Everybody thinks they're side view, nose to nose. They're not.
They're not.
They're slightly.
I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, but everybody associates this type of air-cooled BM with these flanges, exhaust flanges. The early ones have these, have a straight screw on.
Right.
And a company in Bromsgrove, brilliant British company, makes period and modern stainless steel systems.
Nice.
So this is a brand new stainless steel system from them.
So that should last you a few years.
Yeah, theoretically, we've got stainless on all of on all of our Earls forks because it just makes sense.
Any quirks to riding it? Is it?
No. I mean, well, it's weird. You get a lot of people who aren't used to BMs, especially the more modern ones, who talk about shaft jacking. And I never actually knew what they were talking about. What they mean is that when you wind it open to start to move away, you feel a little bit of the back end rising because obviously it's taken. But if you're used to BMs, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, and it isn't actually jacking at all. It's just where everything is taken up. But that's, it's a shaft drive. No chain, no sprockets.
No.
Beautifully engineered.
Of course.
And this is a magneto. This is we've kept all of our Earls forks on 6 volts. Okay. So it is started with a magneto, which means no battery needed to start a bike. Only thing the magneto does is run the electrics when it's running, so lights, etc. But you can start this thing without a battery.
Yeah.
And this has what they call ticklers on the carbs. Carbs are bings, which are they're a bit quirky bings. They have a tendency to perhaps mark their territory if you're not careful. They can slightly overflow, but you can get rid of that simply by, before you come to a halt, you flip off the petrol tap and you empty the bowl.
Just something you get
but
used
these,
to, I'm sure.
they are. It's a characteristic. It's not a problem. On the carb body, you will see seated here behind the tube these little knobs, and they're ticklers.
They're the ticklers. That's a float chamber underneath it.
Yeah, so what you do is you press it, and 1, 2, 3, depending on the weather and whatever else. Make sure that this particular one, because this is a particular joy, and has a little hook on it, because we haven't got around to replacing it yet. So you make sure that these are back up. You set your throttle, you pop your key in, and then you give it a poke. And this thing theoretically starts first time. But what you just do is you literally just, there's a point where you know, and it's a gut thing. And what you do is you just set it, say start it, bang, and it will. And obviously one pops into life
before the
millisecond behind you. Just so that's what it does.
Lovely. Credit to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it today.
No, it's, as I say, it hasn't long been back on the road. It was a box of bits.
Box of bits.
Sorry about that.
Can't let you get away with that, I'm afraid.
Sorry about that. I didn't realise. And it prefers non-suppressed plugs, of course. It doesn't like suppressed plugs at all because it's magneto.
Thank you very much.